Hi, I'm Frankie Pedano, and you're watching The Red Booth.
Hi, welcome to The Red Booth Show. On tonight's episode, I have musician Frankie Pedano of Frankie and the Fixers, Sir Video, and some other really cool bands that he talks about as well. So come and join us. So, hey Frankie.
Hey Kim, thanks for having me.
Yeah, welcome to the show. Thanks for being
I'm
here.
excited.
This is awesome. You have so many things that you do here in the music scene, not just as a musician yourself, but you also work with a lot of other musicians as well.
Yeah, you gotta stay busy out here. It's all about the multiple tasks, jobs. Your finger in many pies, if you will.
Well, they're all fun pies, though.
Good pies, the best kind of pies, yeah.
Yeah. So you have Frankie and the Fixers, which is your band that you're working on right now.
Yeah, my first solo project. I used to be in this band called Fat City Reprise from Philadelphia, originally South Philadelphia.
He's from Philly.
Philly, cheesesteaks, birthplace of your freedom. You're welcome. Yeah, we started there. We were just a bunch of like poor kids that people would try to beat us up because we had instruments walking down the street. Like, oh, you got a violin? Play me a song. Like,
And they would pick on you.
They just pick on you. Yeah, like that neighborhood.
That's so messed up, guys.
Hey, tough neighborhoods. But we stuck with it through the love of like having that little core of guys and wind up becoming best friends with them since grade school. And with those dudes, we kept playing until eventually we were on the radio out there and we were getting booked like for bigger opening acts like the Goo Goo Dolls or Wallflowers or Hanson, and we started catching attention of LiveNation. And after that, we started getting some investors, which is the key thing to do. Don't spend your own money, spend other people's money.
Well, I mean, getting an investor is pretty hard. That's a pretty hard thing to do as a band, too.
Yeah, you'd be surprised. There's a lot of rich people that like playing with their money, but they expect it back.
But so how did you, like, for all the other musicians out there, like, how did you go from just trying to, like, play gigs and doing that sort of stuff to get an investor? Like, what's the pitch? How do you do that?
So what I had done was my first job out of high school, I was working at a bar, kind of like a door guy, checking IDs and stuff like that. I was like 17, and we had live music every night.
You were 17 checking IDs?
Yeah.
What? How
Philly.
does that mathematically? I don't know.
I don't know either.
Yeah.
I don't think it was the most legal place. But so they, like I was working there every night and there was live music every night. And I started to, like, I was always a musician, but I started to really be aggravated about this. I'm like, why am I not doing this? This is weird. I'm here every night. Like, I can sing better than that guy or whatever, which is not always the best attitude to have. But if it kicks you in the butt enough to bring it out of you, then whatever you got to do. So what we did was we started playing. There was a band from Philly at the time called Silvertide, who wound up blowing up around like 2012, and I was lucky enough to be really good friends with. Who this guitar player Nick Perry is still killing it. He's got an amazing band called Mount Holly. His band got to open for Van Halen and Journey and stuff. So he was a big inspiration for me, especially at 17, because he was a couple years younger than me. Got to drop out of high school, and I was like, I'm doing something wrong here. And just became close with him and another band, Hailstorm, the very big inspirations that are huge right now. And I started to see how they were doing it. It was just play. You can't be a band and not play out. You have to hone your gig or hone your craft and work on your gigs as much as possible.
Your live gig, you mean? Your
live show, your everything. I mean, when it comes to bands, think that they're gonna. Well, we're going to play a show, and our favorite band's going to be there, and they're going to walk up to us and say, you're coming on the road with us. It's not how it works. They don't even have that power a lot of times. It's whatever the label wants to do or whoever's paying for that show, that's who decides it. So I was lucky enough to start seeing how they were getting affected by...
But I just have to ask, okay, now you're saying live shows is the biggest thing, but nowadays people can get everything online. So, I mean, I almost sit here...
Right.
And I think of Enya, which
Sail Away,
old
yeah,
90s.
Sure. Pure Muse too. I know it well.
So she would put out albums, and she didn't have big tours ever. She just put out her CDs.
Yeah, I mean, but that's her audience too. Is
the mellow
audience. It's,
right.
They want to sit and have a glass of wine and be romantic.
Yeah.
If you're,
if you're a rock band.
If you're a rock band.
Yeah. That's not so much.
You gotta show up, and people need to feel that vibe of this is a rock show.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, like I was saying, like you need to like work on your live show, but not only that, your presence in the scene. Like, don't just show up, play your gig, and then leave. It's like we're all in this together. So if you want people to come to your show, damn well better go to their show. Support. It's all about the local scene. Has to keep it together. And I feel like a lot of bands nowadays, because of social media, they don't have to go anywhere. They just hit share, like, hey, check out my friend's band, it's great. Instead of being like, yo, come see my friend's band tonight. We're all gonna go. You're gonna love it. A lot of that I think got lost around the Facebook, after MySpace, Facebook era of like, because I remember when we were doing it in 2005, we were printing out posters ourselves, printing CDs ourselves, whatever we had to do. We'd go to a concert and bring 1,000 CDs and just walk around and be like, hey, free music, check it out. If you like it, hit us up. Yeah, I mean, it was a waste of money sometimes, but you got to know your audiences. So what I remember is all these bands would be like, we're going into the studio, we're not taking any shows for a while, we're not going to do any shows. And they go in the studio and they're in the studio for a year. Lost their presence.
A year?
Yeah, they'll go in the studio for a year, sometimes
why?
2, because they want that record to sound perfect. But your live show is slacking. Your chops are slacking now. Your presence is gone.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel it's really important to be, we're in Los Angeles tonight. Oh, we're in San Francisco next weekend. Or you got to keep bouncing around, and that's what I feel like a lot of the newer bands kind of don't have that kind of influence to look up to, where it's like, oh, hey,
that's what they should do.
Yeah, I mean, there's.
On that note, we actually have to take a break.
Yeah.
We'll be right back after these messages with Frank Pedano.
I really wanted to put a deck on my house.
The floor was creaking and there were cracks in the wall.
I had them put in walls in my basement.
Well, the whole thing was done on time, on budget, and not a day of work was missed.
Alpha Structural is a top-rate company. I'd recommend them to anybody.
If you live in a hillside home and gravity is pulling you towards the edge of the cliff, I recommend you call Alpha.
It was a real pleasure to work with Alpha.
And welcome back to the Red Booth Show. We are here with Frank Pedano, musician extraordinaire.
Thanks. I try.
Well, so you were just talking about advice for the bands nowadays that you see. Now, the reason I wanted to mention that too is because you also help with booking bands for a lot of the local, hotspots here, and that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I got really lucky. I kind of fell into that just because of always being a gigging band. You get to meet so many great bands, and then when you click with one and it's like, hey, I think you're great, we should play together, and you know they have a good following and you got a good following, you start to become a little like an umbrella species for the other smaller bands that are trying to make it. So what wound up happening was we'd be booking shows where we're like, 5,000 people or 500 people in attendance, that's great, we should do this again. And then the venues would come back to us and say, hey, how the hell did you do that? Can you do that for us more? So we're like, oh yeah, sure. So we'd start booking bigger and bigger shows until we'd get 5 bands that between the 5 of us get 1,200 people at a venue. And like I was saying, like, that's what got LiveNation's attention, which they were like, hey, we want you to open up for this band. And even if that band didn't want us to open up for them, LiveNation would be like, yes, they are.
Oh, wow.
Because we said so. So it's really important, especially the camaraderie of other bands coming together to make one show. Like, we're all different, obviously. But because of that, the promoters out here would be like, hey, after my band Fat City broke up, after moving out here about a year into it.
Right, so Fat City was out in Philly?
Fat City was out in Philadelphia. I should probably explain a little bit of that. After we started doing the bigger shows and stuff, we got some attention from this band called The Roots, the legendary Roots.
Wow.
Jimmy Fallon band now. But they they really took good care of us, took us under their wing. Questlove walked into the studio one day and was like, "Hey, sorry to bother you guys. I left a snare in the next room. Can we grab it?" And we were like,
Oh my god.
"Yes, sure." And, as he's walking out, he's like, "Is this you guys?" We're like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Where are you from?" Like, "South Philly." He's like, "Okay." Like, kind of confused almost because there were no rock bands in South Philly. It's mostly like hip hop or like metal bands, but our stuff was kind of more like classic rock sounding. So he kind of took an interest to us, and every couple of days, see him and stop in and be like, "How's it going?" "Great," blah, blah, blah. And then he's, I guess, through that, Black Thought started to notice us, and then the Roots as a whole started to notice us. They wanted to sign us to OK Player, which is their digital distribution label, but we had terrible management at the time, and he was like really indignant about it and was like, "We're not taking that, blah, blah, blah." So told them no. Unbeknownst to us, we didn't know.
You didn't know?
We didn't know. We didn't find out till...
Aren't they required to have to put the deal to you guys so that you at least know what you're being offered?
Yeah, but it's kind of like when you're meeting up and it's like, "Hey, man," the Roots had known my manager for a while, and they were like talking about stuff, and they invited me in, and in my head, I was like, "Oh my God, the Roots want to sign us to their label. This is amazing. We should definitely do this," because they were breaking bands all the time.
Yeah.
And because of other, management egos, be like, "Oh, well, then I'm going to be cut out of the picture." So that kind of thing. So we had turned that down.
But you hadn't really turned it down.
But we hadn't really turned it down.
Yeah.
And our first time doing a tour, we went to like as far as Omaha, Nebraska, and we came back and they were like,
"Who were you opening for at that time?"
We just did it ourselves. It was all
okay.
Yeah, we all just scraped together and went out on the road. And we came back and Black Thought was like, "Hey, so how'd California go? How was the tour?" We're like, "Oh, we didn't make it to California. We just got to Omaha." He's like, "You didn't go to California?" We're like, "Nah." It's like, "Well, bet. Look, we're doing this pre-Grammy party we do every year at the Key Club." He's like, "It's the night before the Grammys." He's like, "It's the best of the best." He's like, "You can't even get in unless you're an A-lister." We're like, "Okay." Thinking like, "Oh, are we allowed to go?"
Yeah.
"I want you guys to play it." We were like, "Okay."
Wow.
It's like, "If you can get yourselves to California, you're on that show." So we're like, "All right, we got some work to do." My manager wound up getting this investor. The investor gave us a bunch of money. We got an RV.
So your manager did help you out with that?
He was doing his thing in the beginning. He was killing it at first. He was the one that introduced us pretty much to the Roots and got us in that studio. But be careful with management. Always be careful with your management.
How would you know?
How would you know? You
Yeah,
don't.
yeah.
Just make sure you have a lawyer look at everything all the time.
Oh, okay. Good clue.
Yeah.
Good tip there.
I mean, yeah. So we got this investment, and we were obviously super conscious about it. Like, we gotta make sure this lasts us. This is great. If we made $1,000 at the Viper Room, his bar tab will be $1,200 because he's buying girls at the booth, bottles and stuff. And it's like, no, this is counterproductive. No, a lot of things like that. So you can blow through a lot of money really fast.
Okay.
But yeah, so we came out and did that Roots show, and I fell in love with Los Angeles, and was like, we need to be here. We need to move here immediately.
This is definitely an amazing music scene here, I think.
Absolutely, yeah.
So many venues and so much history.
Yeah, and it's a culture shock. I mean, I've been here 8 years, and I'm still just like, LA, I love it. But yeah, so we made the move. This investor from Australia gave us like $2.2 million, and we were like, peace, we're going to Los Angeles. It was great until my band a year later broke up because of bad management. They ran away in the middle of the night because they hated them so bad. So I wake up one day and my band's gone.
The band just took off.
My best friends in the world took off.
Oh no.
I'd flown out to see my father. He broke his hip at the time. So I flew out that day. The next morning they were gone.
Oh my God. Okay, on this note, we have to take another break.
Oh, suspenseful.
Oh, we'll be right back with Frank Pedano on the Red Booth.
You've messed up your son's haircut.
Mom?
Do you A, try to fix it,
Like it never happened.
B, work with what you got, or C, show solidarity?
Thank you, baby.
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
And welcome back to the Red Booth Show. We're here with Frank Pedano, and you were just telling us this crazy story about your band disappearing in the middle of the night?
Middle of the night, yeah. I mean, it took me a long time to kind of forgive them, and I mean, they were my best friends since birth, pretty much, you know. And I felt really lost. I was like, what do I do?
You went out to go see your dad, and then you came back.
Yeah, I flew out
then...
to Philly, and then the next morning I woke up and they were already in Arizona driving back to Philly. So I had no idea what to do. I was like, do I just give up? Like, what do I, you know what I mean? What do I do? And at the time we had the investor wondering what was going on. We had this big house in Los Feliz.
$2 million investment.
Yeah, that was going fast. So I'm like, well, I guess I have.
And your manager was allowed to spend the money, or what's the deal with that?
Well, we didn't realize it at the time, but the manager was avoiding the investor, and the investor was getting furious, and then trying to contact us. But our manager put a block on our Facebook and any of the social media from this guy in Australia, who actually is an amazing dude. I wound up getting to know the investor a couple years later.
Yeah.
So they split in the middle of the night, and I had the decision to make whether I was going to just go back to Philly with my tail between my legs or work it out here. So when I made the announcement, like, hey, Fat City's broken up, I thought, especially LA, you hear things about LA, it's like, oh, you know, like, well, fair weather friends, and, you know, once you're not in the party scene anymore, like, no one cares. But a lot of people came out of the woodwork for me. They're like, look, you're too talented to have that happen. Why don't you start booking some shows? Because you always had great shows. Just because your band's not on it doesn't mean you can't still do it. So I kind of like put a little like idea in my head to be like, well, I know lots of places.
You know lots of bands.
I know lots of bands. I know lots of places I can book.
Yeah.
And slowly but surely, there's a great promoter named Kevin Kearns who got me a lot of nights over at the Venezuela or O'Brien's Pub, which was enough to keep me alive, going. Yeah, just like to be on the scene. He's like, because you can't lose contact with the scene. I'm like, thanks, Kevin, I appreciate it.
And now you book for a lot of other places too here.
Independently.
In
Hollywood,
right?
I mean, I've been I booked through Viper. I booked through. I was doing the House of Blues with another great promoter, Kelly McGarry, out there. She takes care of me a lot. Like anytime she's doing something, she's like, hey, I want to get you a night. I'm doing this and I want to share that with you. So there's been a lot of promoters out here who are really super helpful with keeping that going. I kind of fell into it, not knowing that I already knew how to do it.
You were already basically doing it.
I was already doing
band,
it.
yeah.
Exactly. I was already doing it without knowing.
Yeah.
So through that, I just kind of took it and ran with it. And then eventually I was booking like 6 different places at once, but still no band of my own. And I was getting kind of like caught up in it. Like,
you're being a booker now.
I was being a booker now, and I was like really unhappy. I was like, this, what is going on? Like, this is not what I want to do.
Yeah.
So I gave the band another shot. I found a bunch of guys from MI who loved the band, and they were like, we'll do whatever we have to.
I love Musicians Institute. They're so good. I know some amazing musicians that have come out of there.
Yeah. Absolutely. And they loved the band, and were like, we're going to quit school and join your band. I'm like, no. Don't do that. And the manager was like, yeah, they're going to quit school. I was like, damn. So they did. They quit school. And then things went south with that lineup, too. It took about a year to get gig ready. We started opening for big bands again. And then the manager...
What was this band called?
It was Fat City Reprise.
It was again. Okay.
I kind of like brought it out of the ashes, and we started doing it again and doing the tour. And I was on the East Coast, and we were on our way back. And instead of usually they give you like a good amount of gas money, like, hey, here's some money. If you need more, let me know. Gave us $250 in a 15-passenger van with 6 dudes and gear. I was like, I'm not doing this. I'm not making this trek. No way. So me and the other guitar player were like, we quit. We're not coming back. And of course, the manager who had all this like investors to respond to, of course, it was my fault that there's no more money, even though he spent it all.
Oh, no.
Yeah, because we needed a $9,000 a month house.
It's almost like you need an escrow account or something to, like, take care of that, make sure no one uses the money.
In our contract, it stated if he's going to spend over $1,200, he needs a written agreement from everyone in the band. That never happened. So it's like you got to draw the line between buddies and management. Because it's like, yeah, we're pals, but
don't break
you
the rules.
You still work for me.
Yeah.
And the better the band did, the crazier he got. It was more about him. Yeah. It was more about how it made him feel.
That's so weird.
The better we were doing, the bigger he thought he was. And he had never managed a band before and had just got this investment by using our music to show this guy, like, hey, these guys are really good. We can do this, this, and this with them. Cool. Hey, I need another 20 grand. They need a PR person. 20 grand never went to the PR person. Stuff like that. So make sure if you get a manager, he's actually a manager, reputable.
Whoa.
But yeah, so
that's very important advice, I think, right there.
Yeah, because it almost ruined my life completely. But
that's crazy. Yeah, you had LiveNation, you had all these major bands. I mean,
oh yeah, LiveNation gave us.
You guys could have blown up if your manager hadn't scared your friends away, I guess, or scared the rest of the band away.
LiveNation gave us a year calendar. They're like, pick where you want to go and what bands you want to jump on and this and that, and let me know. We're like, okay. And then a week later, my guys were gone because they were like, if we do this, we're gonna be stuck with him. So they got such cold feet that they split. So long story longer, after I broke up the band and we broke up the second time, I was stuck in Philly for 2 months and I didn't know what I was gonna do.
Okay, on that note, we need to take a quick break and we'll be right back with Frank Pedano.
I really wanted to put a deck on my house.
The floor was creaking and there were cracks in the wall.
I had them put in walls in my basement.
Well, the whole thing was done on time, on budget, and not a day of work was missed.
Alpha Structural is a top-rate company. I'd recommend them to anybody.
If you live in a hillside home and gravity is pulling you towards the edge of the cliff, I recommend you call Alpha.
It was a real pleasure to work with Alpha.
And welcome back to the Red Booth Show. We're here with musician Frank Pedano.
Hey.
So you were telling us the story. You were in Philly. You didn't know what to do.
Oh yeah, it was after I was like some of the worst events in my life. Like my father had passed away.
I'm so
girlfriend
sorry.
had broken up with me while I was on tour. So it was just like all this stuff going on. I was like, I'm not going back to Los Angeles. I'm staying in Philly. Screw it. I'm not doing it. And I started getting phone calls from people being like, you're too talented to be out there. We need you to come back. Please live with us for free. We don't care what you do. Just take your time. So because of that support and from them, I was couch surfing for 6 months. Like it was the most depressing time of my life. Didn't have a keyboard, didn't have anything to play. Until luckily one day I got hit in the face with a tequila bottle and
that sounds like good
it
luck.
was great luck. Yeah, I got smashed in the face with an unopened tequila bottle. Gave me 9 stitches.
Oh wow, there you go.
And I walked into the bar the next day that I had a show that I was promoting at, and the manager at the time, Gator Lee, was like, damn, what happened to you? I was like, I told him a story. He's like, you could take a punch? I was like, yeah. He's like, you want a job? I was like, sure. So I started doing security at this bar every night, and it started bringing me back to when I was a kid at this bar, doing security and hearing these bands, and it started getting, a bug up my butt, being like, why am I here every night? I should be doing this kind of thing.
Yeah.
And really kind of, I started getting re-inspired. Now, another band from Philadelphia that was also screwed over by that same manager and the same label moved out. And a week after he moved out, the guy pulled out the contract underneath of him and left him homeless. So he and I teamed together, and he started a great project called Timmy, Sean, and the Celebrities, and now Sir Video, which...
I love Sir Video.
Yeah, me too.
I bought their album.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun stuff. And
so much fun.
yeah, and so...
It's like 80s sort of pop sounding.
For sure. But
Yeah.
what I love about it live is, though, it's a 9 to 10 piece band, and it's just got that big 70s, rock funk band in your face kind of I don't know where to look kind of thing, which has been really fun. But I'm glad I came back, because if I didn't, I wouldn't have been able to perform with Audra May, who's one of the best songwriters in the business. Her song was covered by Miranda Lambert, which went to number 2 in the country charts, and I'm the original piano player on it. I didn't, just because I got paid for the day doesn't mean that doesn't mean a lot to me. Certain things like that you can't get anywhere else besides LA, you know, which really helped. She really helped inspire me to stick around in town, or doing a fundraiser for The Voice and getting to perform with Christina Aguilera and Adam Levine. It's those are things. It's not that big of a deal. I mean, it's cool, but really it is. When you're a poor kid from South Philly and you never think you're going to get off the street playing music, and now you're on TV playing music or singing on Dancing with the Stars and all those things that could never happen out there.
So you were singing on Dancing with the Stars. You want to talk about that a little bit?
I did a gig at the Viper Room, and a woman walked up to me. She's like, I love your voice. I was like, oh, thank you so much. Appreciate it. She's like, you want to sing on Dancing with the Stars this Tuesday? I was like, yeah. And my manager was like, nope. I was like, I'm doing it. He's like, no, you're not. He's like, you're not doing that. I was like, I'm absolutely doing it.
You have given me a very bad impression of managers, I just have to say.
He's a bad man. And I hope he's watching
It's probably
this.
not that all of them are that way, but
No.
just a certain few.
There's a certain few.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was like, no, you're not doing it. It's counterproductive. I was like, I'm going to be
I
singing.
don't see why that is
I'm
at all.
singing in front of 16 million people live. I'm
Yeah.
going to do it.
Yeah.
Even with the same thing with the Audrey May record, he was like, no, you're not going to play on that. I'm like, dude, she's a superstar. How am I not going to do this? Like, I'd be making one of the biggest mistakes ever.
Yeah.
And it would have been a mistake, you know? So there's even artists right now that I know are going to be huge that I'm lucky enough to be writing with. Like, one that was on your show, Tar Lane.
Oh yeah, no,
That's the one.
she's so amazing. I cannot
Yeah.
believe. And I've seen her perform live too, and she's like, literally, like I'm like breathtaken by her performance.
Yeah, me too. She's legit.
Yeah.
She's got soul for sure.
Yeah, she does.
So it's just like, it's humbling to be working with these people. And then on top of it, for bigger venues to be like, hey, we want you to also book these nights. Oh, book your band.
Yeah.
My advice is play your live shows, get as much street cred as you can to where you can bring 100 people anywhere. And someone says, oh, you got to pay to play. It's not pay to play. It's you're paying $1 for 100 tickets that you're able to sell for whatever price you want. If you're a band that busts your butt, you're making $1,000. All you got to do is put it out there. Instead of being like, oh, it's paying to play. No, it's not. If you don't have the draw, don't take the gig. That's all it is. Just keep working on your stuff, and maybe you'll get there.
See, listen to Frankie.
Listen to Frankie. I never do, but
Well, I'm looking forward to your new albums coming out with your band
My thing,
that you're
that's right.
creating, and we unfortunately are out of time.
it's all right.
So
No
why
problem.
don't you send some plugs for where people can find you?
You can find me, for booking, if you need some gigs around town, even if you're from the East Coast, it's frankie.pedano@gmail.com. You can find me at Frankie Pedano on Facebook, Frankie and the Fixers, or Facebook.com, Frankie and the Fixers for my solo stuff that's about to come out. Check out Sir Video.
Sir Video.
Check out Tara Lane. I'll be
Yes.
jamming with her. Check out Audrey May. She's the best. And that's about it, I think, for plugs.
All right, cool. Well, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me, Kim.
Yeah. Thank you for watching musician Frank Padano on
The Red Booth.